Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the final set of the day as these teams prepare to go to that DreamHack Atlanta aggro with Anatolia again. Anatolia InControl has controlled North American PS4, basically all split long, but now they actually have to get this win.
That's right, because last week they lost against Coalition, and offline Coalition was able to trump Evil Lemon, so this match is so important about who is going to advance to the console placements to fight against the other Xbox teams.
I mean, 4 weeks of dominance from InControl, basically, but as you mentioned, with Coalition winning that offline game, it means that InControl need to find this victory, especially understanding that the head-to-head there is going to be a little bit more difficult for them because they're tied in that regard. So it depends on their plus-minus and things of that nature.
Yeah, and considering this is week number 6, these teams, let's take a look at the standings just to see where they're kind of lining up with one another, because right now, InControl need to get this victory.
That's right. Coalition sitting at 5-1, as you mentioned. So Strictly Business is sitting at 2-3. They've done okay so far for themselves, but their 2 wins are only up against Evil Lemons, who go without a win all split long. So Strictly Business hasn't looked quite as good as their record might even indicate.
And InControl were able to find that victory previously against Strictly Business, so this is going to be an uphill climb for SB that could be playing spoiler. If there's ever time for them to step it up and see what's going to work for Season 6, now would be the time.
That's right. So we should be getting into picks and bans pretty shortly here for InControl. They are sitting pretty okay throughout the first 4 weeks. I mean, they were undefeated through the first 4 weeks, and then they take that Week 5 loss, and now they kind of have that pressure on them. But there are a lot of veterans on this side for InControl. I mean, this is the team with XCovi on it, with Outbowned, aka the old coach for Astral Authority. So they've got a lot of veterans on this squad. They just have to be able to pull through here.
That's right. Joltak as well, playing that support position. And it was a battle of the junglers last time against InControl versus Coalition. I don't expect anything to be different here, where Rygaklu needs to really find that early game momentum.
Yeah, very much so. But Poseidon and Odin banned away by InControl, as a couple Guardians banned by Strictly Business, looking at Joltak, but InControl going to go straight towards the Sobek. They're gonna think about it though, because there's lots of great picks here. Pele, Baron, Freya, Athena,
4,
all open.
Yeah, and I think that's why they left all 4 of those open, knowing that whatever SB pick in the next 2, that InControl could have the remaining 2.
That's right, but man, Chernobog as well. So there's 5.
True.
So it really InControl could have gotten 3 while leaving open 2 for Strictly Business. But Strictly Business looking at the two globals, probably the 2 easiest ones to impact the entire map with Athena and Chernobog, and I think that's a great way to go.
And flexible in terms, you don't know if that's going to be Athena support, solo, jungle, you don't know if that's Chernobog middle or in the hunter role, so I like the question marks that SB are leaving for InControl.
So InControl do go with Freya, but now hovering over the Terra. I mean, if Strictly Business get Athena, Chernobog, Pele, do the admins stop it? Or like what happens?
Like a referee that
comes
exactly.
In
like,
no,
too much.
No more. Come on now. Xing being hovered though a little bit different than the Baron or the Pele option here. Pele being a newer god means that it probably is in fewer god pools, as some junglers may not have really taken a liking to her yet.
Yeah, but I think currently Pele has been so strong and so mobile that you don't want to not pick her. I think that there's so many compositions that you can rely on her for, where if you can go for this mid to late game draft where you got Sobek and a Freya for control / burst damage, the Pele is going to be able to match that momentum.
I can't disagree with you. Just trying to find some sort of explanation. Is a lot of junglers by Strictly Business being banned, none of them in the what is their
Polynesian?
Polynesian, thank you. I was thinking of Moana. That's literally what the word that was coming to my mind. That's why I said Mayan. So Strictly Business get the Polynesian jungler for themselves this time around.
After the secondary ban phase.
Yeah, exactly, because why wouldn't you, right?
Banning away the Outwash and the Vulcan instead, InControl don't want to deal with those magical damage dealers, so it could be a physical strategy that InControl are going to be prepared for.
I do like this Chiron pick a lot for InControl. It gives you the option to strip away the CC of Athena and Xing, 2 pretty easily telegraphed CCs that'll be coming your way. Which team do you think will win? Is it InControl, having been dominant throughout basically all the split, or Strictly Business with an absolutely stacked draft? This is like the nature versus nurture of Smite competitive, right? Is it the team that has looked better as players, or the draft? Because I think the Strictly Business draft is just head and shoulders above what InControl have.
It's really going to come down to the Kukulkan, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If they can set him up well with the Athena and Xing, they should thrive. If not, then I can see how InControl could turn that team fight on its head. The longer it lasts, Freya's going to do more damage. Terra's going to have those sustain options that you really want to have. Chiron can even sustain his team a little bit as well.
Look, if I'm looking at InControl's draft and I see Sobek, Nem, Chiron, Terra, Freya, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good draft. What did they? Oh my God, what did they give up? I mean, that is the that is the kind of the way that this went for me, is that both of these teams have good drafts, but one, in my mind, is just a little bit stronger than the other in the current meta.
XCovi playing the Chiron in the mid lane as opposed to the Freya, and I don't mind that necessarily, where you are relying on a lot of burst damage to follow up from Rygaklu. And he didn't go for the blink at level 1, but the long-range artillery shots from the Chiron ultimate is what you're looking for to clean up after the Nemesis use that Divine Judgment.
I've got no problem with the Chiron mid in this composition. It does take it away from the Athena in the lane matchup, which is one of the reasons why you're picking it in general, but I don't mind it overall. Chiron in mid is certainly a strong pick still, and XCovi's well-versed enough that you expect him to be able to do some good work with it, as he's bullied out logically a little bit as little Tony walks in, already well below half HP after the poke from Rygaklu.
Yeah, I don't see this matchup to favor Pele if you're going to use your knockup before the Nemesis shield. That could be problematic as the laning phase progresses. Rygaklu dishing out with Tony, but little Tony healed a lot from that Pele passive.
That'll do it for you. I mean, even when you use the pots, if you can just manage your health bar properly and use your skills in the right time whenever you have that passive procs, I mean, you get so much lifesteal. And it's not just normal physical lifesteal, it's lifesteal off of your abilities as well. Different values, but both very, very strong ones. So Tony's able to stay in lane a little bit longer than most other junglers would have in that spot.
Between 40% lifesteal or ability lifesteal versus 20% regular lifesteal, it's a good way to be bruisery if you really wanted to. It gives you the flexibility to go for damage, and that's why we've seen it in the solo lane from time to time. Not very common in the console world to stick it in the solo lane, but in the Pro League, we've seen Scary D play it. We've seen Deathwalker play it.
Yep. Been not as successful in solo as jungle, but
Scary D's game was...
Yeah, Scary did great. Deathwalker did the opposite of that, so you're 1-1 as far as my memory serves. As Dylan in some trouble now on this left-hand side. Good vanish by Outbowned. Burst damage misses from Outbowned. Went the wrong way, and Forger Vulcan now maybe paying for the sins of his ADC.
Oh,
he nice root.
The basic attack. Outbound had one shot, one opportunity, and he couldn't land it.
Couldn't land it. Also goes for the Hunter's Blessing, whereas most Freya players these days are going straight for Book 2. I think that also makes a difference in dropping that kill.
More mana.
Big difference in mana and power that he would have gotten from starting that. So what should have been First Blood slips away from InControl. And I was saying that a lot of InControl members are veterans of the console community, and that rings true, but Strictly Business also has a couple veterans from the console side. Forger Vulcan and JacobTask have both competed with the Xbox controller before, so we'll see what they can lend to Strictly Business and try and upset InControl here.
You get your veterans to play the Guardians. That's going to be playing setup. Strictly Business going to rely on those two to allow logically the player damage that he needs, and currently struggling between level 4 and 5 as XCovi hit that level 5 marker first, so having to back a little prematurely for logically.
And XCovi's able to back and finish off his stacking item, whereas logically went back to only 900 plus gold around there, not enough for the 1450 necessary to finish off that Book of Thoth. So a little bit delayed in the build, I'd say, so far, but Kukulkan, even when you just finish the book, the stacks are great, sure, but he gets such a huge power spike between the actual book stats themselves and Kukulkan's passive that it doesn't quite hurt him as much.
Logically could be in a little bit of trouble. XCovi recognizing this will force out that movement speed steroid. Logically doing a good job running away there. Little Tony was right behind him as well with a blink, so that could have been problematic if InControl committed.
Good patience in that situation by XCovi. Yes, he commits the dash, but doesn't end up chasing too far away. This Kukulkan is an interesting matchup up against the Chiron and the Nemesis. Picking up a character, I mean, normally Kukulkan is all about objective secure, big burst damage, and that's about it, area control. But in this situation, Slither is actually really important to him because it cleanses slows that are on you when you use that movement speed steroid. Often thought of as one of the weaker abilities in Smite. Here, I think, is a main reason why we see logically go for this pick. It's great against Chiron, it's great against Nemesis, and it's great against Sobek.
And that it was the last pick, Kukulkan, if I recall correctly. The cleanse not in time to prevent the knockup, but if he can find the last hit, he'll revive!
Got him! First blood goes to XCovi and switches it around onto Little Tony, where it's strictly business. Looked like they were about to claim first blood. Ends up not going their way. Good accuracy by XCovi and showing off that Centaurus is still a pretty good ultimate, even if you don't get that full movement speed like you used to.
That's very true. And remember when that movement speed used to be actually really high, being able to get into these combats and going in outbound, going to get taunted alongside JoltakFromXbox. MysteriousDylan not in range to follow up from there. But yeah, there's not many opportunities for a counter to revive, so you got to take your blessings when they present themselves.
That certainly is exactly what XCovi was able to do. Now sitting at level 8, highest level in the game, highest net worth in the game. Logically not too far behind, about 400 gold behind in net worth. You can attribute that to the first blood that XCovi was able to secure for himself. So logically he's been able to keep up for the most part, but this Chiron, once he gets a lead like this, can feel really difficult to go up against.
It's very scary. The red buff is going to start to show its ugly head around with the Transcendence stacks, just giving himself more abilities to spam with that 10% cooldown reduction, the enormous amount of mana that you're going to get from that item, as Rygaklu struggling in the experience department, whereas XCovi is thriving.
That's even with the assist for Rygaklu and not falling for first blood. Little Tony did manage to steal away Rygaklu's speed, which just spawned as soon as the Nemesis poked her head in, so good timing there. So that's probably where a decent amount of that difference happened. But being able to strip away an enemy jungler speed buff, not just great in terms of stripping away their farm and XP, but it also makes it so that you move faster around the map than they do, and therefore can more easily find your farm and get ahead.
And it's also difficult to outpace a Pele with the movement speed steroid from that third ability. So good luck doing that. I expect Little Tony to still be ahead in the experience, even with that death.
Still sitting in an okay spot. Pele so good in the early game, even when she's not really far ahead, can still make plays at these early stages. Difficult to bring her down because of that passive and the mobility that she offers.
MysteriousDylan able to finish off those Devil Gloves, 3 stacks away from evolving his Hunter's Blessing, whereas Outbound completes the Pen Boots before Book of Thoth. Finished the Hunter's Blessing evolution a little bit slightly shorter time than Dylan did. And that's why he's able to slowly poke out this Chernobog before the sustain really becomes an issue.
Dylan prioritizing his stacking item over finishing off his boots. And that is really the difference here. In Book of Thoth is a little bit stronger than Devourer's Gauntlets whenever you initially finish it. It's still not as good as it used to be. The stack's definitely much more valuable than they used to be before. But it's not like Devourer's Gauntlets, where when you complete Devo Gloves, you barely feel it at all. I mean, you get very little of a power spike. Book of Thoth doesn't take nearly as much to feel impactful as the Devos do.
Interesting little pluck onto JacobTask. Not really going to interrupt the secondary portion of that leap. These two Guardians slapping each other, it's not going to end between having double sustain. Even with Sickening Strike, having a little bit of anti-healing, the passive from Xing a little bit too strong, because you can constantly refresh it. Off of the minion wave, off of an enemy god, off of jungle camps, no issues there.
And again, if you're just joining us, this is a critical game for InControl. They need to 2-0 here if they want to go to LAN as the top team in North America. Coalition, they would be tied with Coalition in the records, but the plus-minus would then favor InControl if they find the 2-0 victory in this spot. So it's not just important that they win the set, but how they win it as well. As Dylan could just fall. Outbound gets it because Dylan used Living Nightmare. He was out.
I'm not sure because those boots from Outbound could have possibly caught up to Dylan. If anything, he needed to dash into a wall.
Sure. Yeah.
Instead of dashing into the tower.
Logically uses the beads because of the slow from Masterful Shot, but on this left-hand side, Outbound goes down. So does Lil Tony, however, and now Forger Vulcan could easily be next. Centaurus coming through. XCovi accurate on all 3 shots and able to find the slow onto logically. Charge forward, giddy up. It's a kill for Rygaklu as well. Great shots out of XCovi. 2-0-1 for the veteran mid laner.
And Rygaklu 2-0-2, able to clean up Forger Vulcan. They're confident enough is in control now with those couple of picks to start up a 10-minute Gold Fury.
And I don't think that Dylan's going to be able to get here, though he does have Living Nightmare. Could use it to force InControl off, but holds on to the ultimate. Gold Fury does go down for InControl. So they're up now by a noticeable 2,000 gold.
Well, as much action as there is on the left, there's the opposite effect on the right, where they're battling over blue buff, Ryan. That's kind of the Guardian versus Guardian life in the solo lane.
I think that, so it's kind of a trend among pro solo laners to be a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reserved.
Okay.
And I think it's because they just don't have anything to talk about sometimes over there in these sorts of matchups.
Well, they could talk about last hitting, like, your last hitting sucks!
Sure, totally. They could talk about that. And that is the exact reason why I think they don't talk as much.
Well, the thing is, who was it that was talking about back camps that one land? Was it Mollusk?
Oh, yeah. If it was something weird that someone was talking about, it was Mollusk.
So anyway, Mollusk, like, because there was, like, literally nothing going on, invades back camps.
Right.
And brags about it or something like that.
Thereby giving the enemy team the timer on their own back camps.
Sure.
Right, which is good. Yes. I mean, even in comps, like, what is Shaolin supposed to be telling to his team? I mean, here's all you need to say as a solo laner. He's missing. We might be able to invade blue. I need my blue. They're invading my blue. His teleport's down. My teleport's down.
Pretty much.
And ultimate cooldowns. That's it.
Pretty much. Also back camps.
That is nothing. That is nothing in terms of competitive play.
Hey, don't you discredit solo laners now, okay?
Hey,
there's plenty of things to do in the solo lane.
When it comes to the team fighting phase, yeah, there's lots you got to take care of for sure.
You got to also say how big you are in the solo lane. That's a big
huge,
one. I'm huge. I'm huge. Let's fight.
Like, even if the rest of your team is losing, you got to tell everyone that you're huge coming out of solo.
Exactly.
That's big. Also, here's probably a good bit that some solo laners could use from here on out. Start calling out the health chalice charges. You know, that's his second health chalice pot. I think that could really annoy your team. Yeah, I don't know about you, Toli, but I definitely just found things to talk about that would annoy my team.
That would annoy me, just saying that.
As much as possible.
Yeah, that's not, I don't think that's it.
Well, it's like a family situation, right? Where, yes, you care about each other and all that kind of stuff, but you also, like, want to annoy each other actively. At least that's the way I always felt. That I always wanted to make sure my team was at least a little bit annoyed because they annoyed me all the time. I deserve to, like, give some of that back.
Oh, here's something.
SSINS, yeah, he's like, yo,
there's something they could talk about.
That's 2 health chalices down on JacobTask right now, guys. Can we capitalize off this? XCovi getting capitalized upon as a taunt from Forger Vulcan secures Strictly Business' second kill. Lil Tony able to get himself on the board as SSINS looks to have escaped in the mid lane. Dylan trying to do the same. Outbound. A little bit late on the trigger, but Dylan goes back in and nearly gets himself killed because of it.
Well, almost, as FDOT would say, only counts in horseshoes, in hand grenades, whatever that means. But MysteriousDylan calculated that because he knew that at least the dash cooldown would be reset upon landing in the face of the dual lane, and it would be safely under his own tier 1 tower.
There's probably more stuff almost counts in. It counts if you almost win the lottery. It's not as good, but you still get some money.
True.
Almost
darts.
Almost counts in darts for sure.
Because, like, if you don't get bullseye, you could still get that 20.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Almost counts in, I don't know, basketball, because even though you missed it, at least it wasn't an air ball.
Bowling.
You
can get a spare.
That's right. That's right. Someone should let FDOT know that there's other things that almost counts in. Little Tony does find Rygaklu, and the shot that time from XCovi, inaccurate. Outbound going to try and get in here, but good little bit of movement speed from Magma Rush keeps Little Tony just out of the range of that banish.
I think Little Tony should change his name now to Fast Tony.
But what
maybe that's why he's fast, because he's so little.
Right. I mean, he's a little quick. What happens if he isn't playing Pele? Did they change it every time?
Yeah, I think he should change it every time.
Seems like a lot of work. I mean, it's not free. Actually, I don't know how it works on the PS4. I just know how it works on Xbox. And on Smite on PC. It's not free to change your name on Smite on PC either. You gotta be.
That's the price you pay to be cool, Aggro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How many times have you changed your name, Tolly?
0, because that's how cool I am. I make my own meta.
Right. Exactly. That's right.
Or you can be Kiki and then change your name every other week, or every week, or every day.
Whenever it's time for SPL, he always
pretty much
shows up as Kiki So Cheeky.
Well, back in the day, that wasn't always the case.
That's true. He had a lot of different names.
He was forced to keep a name.
And he goes with Kiki So Cheeky as the final. He's like, this is where I'm gonna be happy.
Because it was like Kiki Star.
Kiki Star was a good one.
I like Kiki Star.
I
think that was my favorite one.
Yeah, Kiki Star was really good. He should go back to that. Actually, as a whole, I'm really against name changes for like SPL players. I think that it, it's hard for the casual fan to always keep up if you're always changing your name. But if you go from Kiki So Cheeky to Kiki Star, I think everyone will know.
Yeah.
So it's okay. I know Lil Tony is regretting where he was because Outbound's able to put him down with Valkyrie Discretion. Whoop is there. MysteriousDylan's beads don't do a whole lot of help for him as Shaolin blinks in the backside and tail whips down the Chernobog. Now serving up Forger Vulcan, whose sprint doesn't do him a whole lot of good damage out of that lurking in the water. Xcovi doesn't need to use the ultimate because Forger Vulcan a little bit too healthy, but this is all right on time for Gold Fury to be up. They just have to keep an eye on Logically, who's going to look to try and steal that away, I'd imagine.
That's right. 5-on-3, but the factor of the Kukulkan ultimate being available makes it a little bit more risky to go for this Gold Fury. All that hard work being invested to, and that's why they're going to go straight onto him instead.
Good engagement there by Rygaklu, but again, that slow immunity comes up big for Logically. Aegis that time on the masterful shot as a huge whirlwind of Rage and Steel crushes down InControl, wombo comboed by JacobTask, and Logically beautiful there by Strictly Business. And now it's their turn to go for gold.
You love to see synergy like that. Strictly Business now really making the plays happen. Don't have the ultimate to confirm the Gold Fury, but nobody from InControl even within the vicinity.
Xcovi zoned by JacobTask, so no Centaurus attempt. It's Strictly Business looking good. In fact, they are in the lead in this game.
InControl really messed up by trying to split their forces. A couple people were going ontologically, and then everyone else was going on the double Bash Brother Guardians that you don't want to go on. They have so much control between the two of them. Taunt, Pancake Flip, the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel is just sets up Logically perfectly in that last encounter.
So now it's Strictly Business who have the lead, and it's not just in gold, Tolly. XP looks to be in their favor by at least a considerable margin. Yeah, 2,500. You look at that mid, Xcovi's down 2 levels right now to Logically. Rygaklu down a level. JacobTask is up a level on his opposition in Shaolin. He's actually up 2 right now. So the dual lane side for InControl has the XP advantage, but everywhere else is in the favor of Strictly Business.
But the question is, how can Strictly Business take that lead and stretch it even further? They would need to start really grouping up and forcing these team fights, because the level 20s from Outbound is going to match whatever Logically can bring with his advantage. And if you can just try to shut down Outbound, I think that's where Strictly Business can really succeed.
A Bumba's Mask for Logically on the Kukulkan. Do you have a reason for me? Because I heavily dislike this.
So the whole idea behind playing Kukulkan is you are safe from just the range of your abilities. You don't have to get close to use any of them, in theory. And picking up this item is the opposite of that.
Yes.
You do less damage, so therefore you're going against your mid-mage roll. But gives cooldown reduction, gives you movement speed, so I guess it's like kind of peeling for yourself in a way, but you already got your slow immune steroids, so that's kind of weird. I don't have a good answer.
I hate it.
Because if you want cooldown reduction, just go Chronos Pendant.
Right. Go Spear of Desolation.
Or that.
You know, you got options. Not a lot of options here for Dylan under siege, but is able to get out of range. In fact, immunes all the damage coming from Rygaklu, and little Tony is going to try and turn this around. Dylan is out of there. Immunes both ultimates in various ways, and is able to survive. That's InControl overlapping their damage a little bit too much.
But despite surviving, Dylan's forced to back, so he's going to miss out on a plenty time of farming, and that's going to allow Outbound another 2-level lead advantage that's been just this lane bully, not allowing Dylan to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, going back to this Bumba's Mask pickup for logically, it's just... Kukulkan is a character that if you're getting hit, you're probably already dead. Even with this extra movement speed.
Like that.
I mean, this damage from xCovi does so much, and JoltakFromXbox does so much. And the whole reason that it's worth playing Kukulkan is because even though if they're on top of you, you're probably already dead, a lot of times you could do your damage without them ever getting close to you. You control jungle fights. I mean, this makes it so that his tornadoes don't zone away tanks at all. If I'm Shaolin and I see this, I'm walking through every tornado from now until the end of the game because it just doesn't matter. They won't do enough damage to me to make me respect it, and that's the whole point of playing Kukulkan is to control
in the back line, Joltak getting a nice double rune. Nice taunt, though, to prevent Rygaklu from doing anything.
Rygaklu was looking to chase down and cut down little Tony, but as you mentioned, a good taunt by Forger Vulcan. Throws a wrench in his plans. But Tier 1 tower down, and now the Pyromancer in control, just grouping up more than Strictly Business seem ready to compete with. MysteriousDylan still all the way in that duo lane.
The result of logically being too far out of position. Now they lose their Tier 1 mid tower, losing Pyromancer. It was Strictly Business that needed to group up and utilize the level lead from JacobTask, utilize the level lead from Logically, but instead InControl were the ones that were just simply always in control.
Lead change again, back to InControl in gold, though very minimal. XP still in Strictly Business's favor. So nothing guaranteed quite yet in this game. This is a 2-0 necessity for InControl. Strictly Business playing for pride at this point. Especially with a team that has so many veterans on it, like JacobTask and like Forger Vulcan. I think that not going out by only getting wins against the only winless team in the league is something that they actually do care about.
I agree. I think that would give them a huge confidence boost at the end of the fall split that could maybe transition in Season 6, whether or not they, make it to Worlds, or well, go to Worlds, rather, just to see the action. You two at home can go to the action by checking out hi-rezexpo.com.
Totally, that sounds great and all, but I really want there to be, like, so, are there any festivities, especially to, like, close out the event?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely something happening at Main Event Entertainment on that Sunday to wrap things up. After, the confetti comes down, we dish out all the trophies. We're going to be hosting a main event party. Just check it out at hrxafterparty.eventbrite.com.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can see Finch giving out crisp handshakes.
I've heard about that a lot. Probably more than I want to at this point.
It's so crisp. Have you experienced it yet?
I will say that I think I was the first one to experience the crisp handshake. And I haven't forgotten about it.
So crisp.
So Gold Fury went down for Strictly Business, and now there's a grouping by InControl on this right-hand side of the map. Another good whirlwind of Rage and Steel from JacobTask. Keeps everybody off his teammate. That's his support.
Yeah, I'm not in love with that ultimate from JacobTask to buy time for your Tier 1 tower not to go down. If you actually baited out that Tier 1 tower longer, Logically would show up to synergize yet again with JacobTask's ultimate. So I think that's how Strictly Business can really start winning these fights.
xCovi uses the beads on his right-hand side as MysteriousDylan's on the left trying to chase down Outbowned, who's able to claim a Tier 2. Rygaklu on the way to attempt to support his ADC, but the mid-jungle, or rather jungle ADC fight that was happening on the left has been abandoned for the moment.
Rygaklu just kind of playing with his food in the mid lane. Same exact level. Different builds between these two junglers. Void Shield on Chile from Lil Tony, whereas we're seeing a Hydra's Lament and Transcendence from Rygaklu, wanting to get those basic attacks to hit even harder.
I don't know where InControl thinks they're sieging against Kukulkan, but it isn't this Tier 1 tower on the right-hand side.
This definitely ain't it.
This is definitely just a waste of time from InControl, and they finally realize it, but spend probably 3 waves too many there.
Well, the thing is, by putting 3 players in the soul lane, this bought enough time for Outbound to get a Tier 2 tower on the left-hand side. And
yeah, that was like 4 minutes ago.
That wasn't 4 minutes ago.
All right, it was at least 2 minutes ago.
It was like 1 minute ago.
I think it was.
Time flies when you're playing Smite, Aggro.
I agree. That's why I think my estimation is longer, because time flew. They spent 4 extra waves on the right-hand side after Outbound got that tower on the left-hand side. We'll review the tape. We'll
get an official decision.
Right, we'll get a ruling on that one. But and either way, the tier 2 does go down on the left-hand side, so not all bad for InControl. They are closing the experience gap, or rather the experience gap is kind of closing itself as it becomes less and less relevant in this game, but it is also getting closer simultaneously.
Joltak not eating that much damage between the two abilities.
You don't say.
From Logically. He did have a little bit of healing from his own side. Logically getting plucked away from the action, actually. Shaolin's going to chase him down, force a sprint as well. Defensive relic down. Focus now switching to JacobTask.
When you pick Nemesis, the whole plan is to be able to tell your team, we are killing this target now.
Yep.
And use your Nemesis ult. And InControl have done a poor job this game of target focus, which is the entire reason to be picking Nemesis. Something that definitely needs to be remedied is Rygaklu trying to chase down Logically on the left side jungle, but Joltak already took a lot of damage. So is JacobTask. SNS off the mark with that charged prey as Little Tony walking in. Not going to be allowed to do that for free, and Outbowned puts him down with some ease.
Didn't have time to use that ultimate to escape, and with that one clean pick, Rygaklu was thinking about backing there, but drops the Sentry Ward first. The rest of the teammates getting the Tier 1 tower. Ultimate gonna clip Outbound, taking a whole bunch of damage. Forger Vulcan very low, and xCovi with a distant shot.
Great shots from xCovi yet again with that Centaurus. ShaolinSSinS right on the money with that lurking in the waters to clean up what xCovi started. Aegis was available there for Dylan, but didn't end up using it, and he falls as a result. And right towards the big fire giant go InControl. Logically no ultimate, but he can get there fast.
He could get there so fast,
but doesn't have an ultimate. InControl get the first fire giant of the game. That team fight felt very drawn out and kind of casual for InControl, and it feels like the only reason it was that casual is because Little Tony just died without doing a whole lot.
Not only that, it was the chip damage, the little chip damage that Outbound did to almost everybody from Strictly Business. JacobTask lost about 60% of his health bar. He couldn't make a difference, having to double dash away into safety, and that's where Strictly Business are going wrong. Not focusing out Outbound, getting him away from some of these team fights, or even forcing out some of his defensive relics, or even that ultimate.
So now Strictly Business need to try and defend underneath these Tier 2s or the Phoenixes. They have their option. I think that you could probably defend Tier 2 here if you're InControl. The gold lead isn't exorbitant yet for InControl. I mean, this is a 5,000 gold lead basically, plus a fire giant. It's a lot, but you're mostly level 20 right now for Strictly Business, and your tower defense is so good with the Kukulkan that it might be worth sitting underneath the Tier 2 here.
As long as they don't fight outside the Tier 2 tower, I would agree with you, Aggro. Making sure that you bait InControl in sticky situations, not allowing Outbound to get off pot shots on enemy gods, because you don't care about Freya hitting your tower. It's xCovi that you have to worry about just demolishing that tower, and as long as you position the tornado from whatever direction he's coming out, and then you can focus out Logically's ultimate on the other side, that's where things could allow Strictly Business to succeed in playing defense, but not even going for that option.
They would rather sit underneath the Phoenixes for the moment. Maybe they'll take this fight on the right Tier 2, but just because it's healthier than the mid Tier 2 was.
And not only that, once they see Rygaklu on the left-hand side, they have to force a fight 5-on-4. It's not as if this Nemesis has teleport like certain other hunters that decide to pick it up.
Right, we don't have to worry about that. No, Logically actually heads over to this left-hand side because he can zoom around so fast with this Bumba's mask. So Tier 2 goes down without a contest from Strictly Business. That means the gold lead is now over 10K.
And that's getting scary because InControl are getting to that 6th item slot where Strictly Business are barely finishing off their 5th.
In fact, xCovi all done with the build. Outbound all done. Rygaklu just a couple hundred gold away. Shaolin done. And Joltak done. So in fact, after this back, Rygaklu finishes off his build, and now everyone full build on InControl. Strictly Business not too far behind. I mean, JacobTask is all done with his build, but there's a lot of blessings still on Strictly Business.
So Rygaklu upgrading his beads and accidentally using them in the
Love
fountain.
it.
You love to see it.
Blink Pluck. Good reaction beads, though, by Logically. The worst part about all of that is that he didn't need to use them. I don't think he's dead there if he gets plucked.
True.
But he doesn't know that, and he's got no way of knowing
Which is funny considering that he got plucked underneath the Fire Giant roughly 10 minutes ago into a different area of the map away from the team fight. Held on to his beads there. Was super safe as we're approaching that 30-minute mark.
Works out for him. He's I'm surprised that Shaolin could cover all that ground in order to catch up to that Bumba's mask.
Got wing blade.
Kukulkan, yeah, wing blade, exactly. Plenty of movement speed. Needs blink and the full distance of the pluck.
Hey, if you're gonna get slowed from the gust out of the Kukulkan, you need to be able to catch up to him.
Especially if it's doing like 280 damage to you because he's got Bumba's mask. That's also pretty important. Quick pause, but we're ready to go right back in. Nice and easy for us here is InControl. Truly in.
They looked a little out of control.
They did
earlier in the game.
They did.
But now, with the Fire Giant still around their waist for 20 seconds, we'll see if they elect to just wait this one out. A lot of teams would wait this out, not wanting to overstretch without the buff, realizing especially the second Fire Giant after respawns beyond the 25-minute mark is going to amplify your structure damage from 20% to that 30% marker, allowing XCovi, that's sitting with the red buff, just extra, what is it, like a hot knife through butter, like a Jedi sword through butter, saber?
I don't think that I would ever take a lightsaber to butter. I really don't.
Why not?
I think it would just explode. It would just go everywhere. It's like taking a chainsaw to butter. I mean, it just doesn't. It won't do. It'll actually cause more harm than good. If you're gonna sit here and try and convince me that it's easier to spread butter on my toast with a chainsaw than my hand, I would disagree with you.
It cuts cleanly. It cuts so clean.
But
have you seen it go through doors?
A lightsaber? Yeah, it goes through anything. That's like the whole point.
But it's not going to make butter spatter.
I think it would. I think it would make the butter explode.
Well, we should experiment that.
Sure, Toli. Bring your lightsaber to work tomorrow, and I'll bring a stick of butter. Okay, we can make that experiment happen for sure. I've actually never used a hot knife in butter. Like, it's such a common phrase, but who heats up their knives?
You would rather just leave the butter in room temperature.
Exactly. And then it's like a room temperature knife through room temperature butter. It just doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well. You know, it's a little bit more unwieldy as a phrase, but I think it's much more applicable to everyday life.
So there's a YouTube channel that does experiments with hot knives.
Really?
Yeah, they triple blowtorch the knife, getting it to like around 1,000 degrees. And I'm sure they have a video about butter.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I want to see it.
Insta melts. Whoop right out of the pluck is JacobTask trying to front line. Enhanced Fire Giant around the waist of InControl. MysteriousDylan going to join in on the fight with that Living Nightmare. Good Aegis from Outbound prevents the damage coming from Logically. Even with Bumba's mask, that would have done significant damage to the Freya. Another whoop, this time onto another tank with Little Tony on the backside looking for Outbound now that his Aegis is down. Outbound still managing to stand strong, as is that right side Phoenix, still only about half HP.
Still demolishing this Phoenix ever so slowly, not able to penetrate despite Logically's ultimate being rather ineffective. It did beat out the Aegis, but not able to confirm the kill was Lil Tony penetrating that back line. Just disrupting Outbound's DPS is the way you got to do it, and I think Strictly Business succeeded in that last effort.
XCovi was not able to get in and do the Phoenix damage necessary. With the Enhanced Fire Giant, I believe he had a red buff just a moment ago as well during that siege. That really should be enough for 6 autos, maybe?
It should be enough, but he was a little bit worried, I think, from Logically's tornadoes. Having to reposition yourself in and out constantly against tornadoes, against Lil Tony diving in the backline, JacobTask looking to disrupt you with pancake flipping you. So that slows down the DPS quite noticeably.
SSinS, first one in. And again, XCovi doesn't manage to get really any damage onto that Phoenix. This time, though, instead of 5-on-5 on the right, they're going to send Rygaklu alone towards mid. That'll draw over Lil Tony, and this is the time, ideally, for InControl to play aggressive. Taunt only hits onto the Sobek, as there's the Earth and Fury, and a whole lot of standing around from InControl.
If Outbound can do damage like that onto Forger Vulcan and JacobTask, that's the little bit that you want to chip away, to start slowly, spreading everyone from Strictly Business like the Red Sea, but this Phoenix is just going to keep healing up if they don't actually commit to this.
JacobTask's upgraded Ankh, a reason I think that we see InControl play that so slowly. When Earth and Fury is used, that's going to be a heal on the entire team. Cursed Donk
Look
makes
how much
that
space this tornado creates. It's like, how do you expect InControl to really penetrate there?
You got to get on top of logically. You can't let them just sit in the back and
I mean, you got a blink from Shaolin, blink from Rygaklu.
All right, you just double blink on him from here. But Rygaklu's in mid, so I don't hate this either. But Shaolin just needs to blink in on this Kukulkan before the wave gets there, which is risky for him, but can work. Oh, look at that. That's actually super smart by JoltakFromXbox. He holds the wave outside the tornado, and now's the time where InControl is going to go in. SSinS blinks in, looking for Dylan on the backside, but JacobTask already has to retreat. Good shots out of Centaurus from xCovi. That Phoenix still healthy. Fear of the 9 wins doesn't do a whole lot. Little Tony now isolated. He's the first one out. As Dylan back up in that living nightmare, doesn't engage, will hold it back.
Uh-oh, JacobTask taking a whole bunch of damage. Blink block goes down, and JacobTask follows suit. And it's now up to 3 members from Strictly Business to hold on to their Titan.
No Phoenix attempt here, at least quite yet. No, indeed, InControl's going to go straight for the Titan because Earth and Fury is back up. Good taunt from Forger Vulcan as the Titan isn't taking a lot of damage quite yet. And now the focus is going to turn towards about half HP on that Titan. JoltakFromXbox getting low. He goes down to Dylan, but the Titan goes down to InControl. They take game 1 and are now 1 step closer to going to the placements.
They need to find this win aggro. If they get it, then they will be the ones, as opposed to Coalition, to advance to the placements, where they'll be awaiting those other 2 Xbox teams and the European PlayStation team.
A tough game, I think, for InControl. Strictly Business definitely put up a good fight. I mean, it took 35 minutes for them to do it, and a lot of that was during that siege. But that play from JoltakFromXbox to logically use the tornado, but hold the minions outside of the range of it with his walls, is kind of what got it done there.
We haven't really seen that too often in the late game sieges. We see that almost every game to start it off, where Terra is going to delay the dual lane minions a little bit. But you can use the Terra, you can use Ymir to be able to do that same exact process. The problem is you don't want to start a Ymir at level 1, so that's why you're not going to be able to do that in the duo lane.
Sure, but it's Terra, you're using your walls pretty often at level 1. Make sure you get your MVP votes in as well for who you think was the real driving force behind that game. I think Outbowned is probably a lead contender in my mind. He had a very good game on that Freya.
Yeah, and xCovi on the Chiron as well. You got to put him up for consideration on the Chiron, getting a lot of early kills.
Yeah, xCovi is actually your game 1 MVP on that Chiron. Had a great beginning to the game, got the first blood with his ultimate here as he reses himself simultaneously. This was a really good play by him, and it was able to really put pressure on the opposition in the early stages of the game. But towards the late game, I mean, Chiron you kind of expect to do a little bit less, but that's where Outbound was able to step up and help out.
And then, yeah, off of the pluck from Shaolin. Shaolin was doing a good job. Also using the giddy up to avoid that ultimate was well placed. The long range accuracy certainly showing off in this first game.
And here to close it all out, able to get some good damage on the JacobTask as well, even without use of his ultimate, having already used it. This is a key win for InControl, as now they've got to try and do it again in game 2.